So it's been a couple of days since I've posted a video. I took a couple of days off. I went to visit my family. Uh, just took a little bit of a break. I know I was going to try to post every day, but sometimes things just don't work out the way that you want them to. So I'm just going to try to do the best I can, post when I can. But yeah, things happen. So, oh well. Now I'm kind of trying to get back into the swing of things. I wanted to address the few things that have come up over the past couple of days. The biggest thing is film critics and the Oscars. The thing is, with the Oscars, it's always been just kind of this controversial thing, and a lot of controversies have arisen from the Oscars, especially these past couple years. I won't go into too many details. I'm sure people have seen, the things online about it constantly here and there. There's just some things I kind of want to address about it. The first thing is just criticism in general. So overall, when people see critical evaluations, it's just a general consensus based on a score. So like Rotten Tomatoes, their scoring system is so odd. So it's like this one person gives it a 6 out of 10, which is a pass. So they give it that red tomato thing and they certify it as fresh. Someone gives it a score under that. So like a 5 out of 10 is considered rotten, at least mainly on their scale. So when one person decides it's fresh and one person decides it's rotten, that's just a general 50% for them, which technically makes it rotten in that regard. So if two people say this movie's fresh and one person says it's rotten based on their scale, then it's actually a 66%, which makes it fresh, kind of. Now, if it's like 9 people say it's fresh based on their score, even if the score is like a 6 out of 10 in general from them, like, again, as their own general score, and the one person's like, it's a 5 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes is still counting that as a 9 out of 10, so that gives the film a 90%. And that's kind of the generality of it. I kind of prefer Metacritic, though, because Metacritic scores are more on point with the general consensus of critics to me. But kind of putting that to the side, this video is more about my criticism towards things and how other people criticize things. So I know I'm really bad at saying the proper way of giving my opinion towards things. I'll say, oh yeah, this is good. This is definitely good. You have to see it. I mainly should say, in my opinion, I think it's good. So when I was reviewing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 1917, in my opinion, I think those movies are good. And people can argue back and forth about certain movies, like, say, The Last Jedi, where the general audience consensus is it's not good, but in their opinion, it's not good. Or I guess like the critical consensus of Joker, where it's pretty low. So in the overall opinion of those critics, the movie is like generally okay. And then the audience score is like a lot higher. So in their opinion, it's a really good movie. And that's just kind of the thing I want to cover, is like, I'm going to definitely try to be better about that. I know for sure I'm terrible at that, because I reference certain movies all the time, like, that movie's so bad, it's terrible, I can't stand it. In my opinion, I cannot stand that movie. So like if I'm referencing Suicide Squad, for instance, I really cannot stand that movie. In my opinion, I think it's really not great. The whole thing is just kind of a mess. It didn't know what it wanted to be, this, that, and the other. That would be kind of my new way of trying to not make it sound like I specifically know everything. I want to make it seem like I'm giving a general idea of what I personally thought without trying to piss other people off. And even if you liked that movie, okay, cool, you liked that movie. That's your opinion towards it. That's not mine. I'm not going to get upset about it. I know for me, it's harder because I just felt like maybe I knew better than some people, and I'm definitely going to improve myself on that. So if someone likes, Star Wars Episode 9 a lot and thinks it's the best Star Wars movie ever, that's good for them. I myself don't personally see that as the best Star Wars movie ever. However, I can listen to someone talk about it, give their opinion on it. I won't really rebuttal. I'll just say, okay, that's good. That's what you thought about it. It's not what I think about it, but that's your opinion. That's fine. It's just a slow process of me trying to see it in a different light, I guess. Like, some people just see movies differently than I do. I have to kind of get down to every fine detail about the movie and determine for myself what I think is good about it and what I think is bad about it. And I'm not the only person that does that. I know quite a few people that do that. It's just a matter of kind of like switching the gears up a little bit and just trying to say the proper thing, as opposed to saying, oh yeah, it's terrible, don't see it. It's more like, hey, I saw this movie. Here's what I generally thought about it. I didn't think it was great. If you want to go see it, sure. If you want to go see it, I'm not going to stop you. If you don't want to see it, then you don't want to see it. Or me saying, oh, I thought this movie was really good and I could recommend it to you. That's just kind of the thing I want to be better at. And that's going to kind of start with my criticisms of movies more when I actually start making reviews. Because so far, I've only made those 2 reviews, the one for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the one for 1917. I planned on making another one this week, but I think just with all the Oscar stuff, which is what I'm going to get into next, with all the Oscar stuff, I really don't want to dive into this right now. I'll definitely get to it eventually. It's just at this moment in time, I don't feel like it's a good idea for me to jump into that criticism of said specific movie. That being said, I want to jump into the Oscars now, specifically talking about the 11 nominations for Joker. Now, with the Oscars this year, I do believe there were quite a few movies that were snubbed that really should have been on the list but weren't. And there's been arguments on the internet about what should have been on there, what actually shouldn't have been on there, a few other things here and there. I don't want to dive into the nitty gritty of it because it's just such a huge topic to really discuss. Like I said, I do believe there are some movies that should have been on there just based on general consensus. I can't personally say whether or not those movies should be on there. I can say based on the general consensus from people, though, the Academy shouldn't have left these things off the roster and off of the radar. But again, my current focus right now is Joker and its 11 nominations. This has a lot of people riled up. And I can see why. I personally think that Joker is a great movie. That's just my opinion of it. Now, there are other movies on the list for like Best Picture that I believe deserve it more than Joker. I think having 11 nominations is definitely a lot, and it's almost surprising that it has 11 nominations. The other thing, out of those 11 nominations, I can maybe only see Joker winning 2 or 3 at most. And the Academy's voting system is just so odd that for Joker to be on that list, it's surprising and it's not. It's just because the way they have the whole system set up, it's obscured, it needs changed, it's been needing change for years. It's so messed up. But overall, in terms of the nominations, I can see why people are upset. However, if you look at it in the broad scope of things, is Joker really gonna win 11? Probably not. I don't see that personally happening. So 1917 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are both up for Best Picture alongside of Joker. If I had to personally pick one out of those 3, it would actually be 1917. The thing is, I really do like Joker. I like Joker a lot. However, I do believe that there are a lot better movies out there than Joker. And with 1917 being out and something that I just reviewed and just recently seen, I could say, in my personal opinion, I believe 1917 is better. Now, that's going to be up to the general consensus of the Academy as to whether or not Joker or 1917 or something else wins. But again, if I really had to dive deep into it, kind of think how they think, I would say 1917 is a much, much, much better option than Joker is. And again, I have not seen very many of these movies, but just from seeing those three, I could say that Joker more than likely shouldn't and may not take home the Oscar for that. And it's the same thing with Best Director. I could see Sam Mendes winning that award over Todd Phillips, who was the director of Joker, mainly because the cinematography is better, the structure is better. In my opinion, those things are better. Out of all of the awards that Joker is up for, the only one I could really see Joker winning is Best Actor. Joaquin Phoenix did an excellent job. Some of the other actors on the list I really do like, and I think that them being in that nomination category is really good for them. But I really could honestly see Joaquin really taking home the Oscar for this one, just based on his overall performance. It was amazing. His performance really was amazing, in my opinion. It's just some of the other awards, it seems like it's fine to be on there, but there are definitely better options on those lists. And therefore, I just don't see Joker taking home very many of those 11 nominations. Again, maybe like 1 or 2, but I don't really see it taking home more than that. I could see 1917 or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood even taking home a lot more of those. The general consensus of Parasite, I could see Bong Joon-ho taking a lot more of those home than I could see Todd Phillips' Joker taking home any of those. And there really were a lot of movies, again, just based on general consensus, that I believe should be on the list here for the Oscar nominations. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but there was definitely a lot of snubs this year. I think they really should have considered taking a different look and perspective at things. And I think they really just got to change their system. Their system does not work very well, and it really just aggravates people. Last year, a lot of the wins I really liked and agreed with. The set designer for Black Panther, she won an award, and she made history winning that award. And hell, Black Panther made history just for being on that list in general. And, you know, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated. The whole superhero / comic book films thing, I saw Variety make an article about how Joker would change the perspective of that. Joker's not changing shit, because Black Panther and Into the Spider-Verse already did that. Hell, The Dark Knight already did that. Heath Ledger won a Academy Award for his role as Joker. The whole thing about the Academy changing their perspective on comic book movies has already happened. It's bullshit. The whole Variety article is stupid. It's not even like a matter of they've changed their perspective. It's a matter of they're trying to adapt towards the times, and they're taking a look at things and seeing, oh, you know, is this film actually good? Now, Black Panther is an excellent movie, in my opinion, and it being up for Oscars was really cool to me. I really loved the fact that that movie was up for Oscars. I'm really glad that movie won 3 Oscars. That was amazing. Good on them for winning that. And they really made history with that. Joker is not going to make history. It never was going to make history. It is a very different film, but it's not making history. It's not really changing anything, and the Academy has really taken 3 steps back when it comes to last year versus this year for the Academy Awards. So, to me, I think the Academy really needs to change their perspectives. I do agree with a lot of people, like there are a lot of issues with the nominations this year, but again, it's all a generalized consensus. We really don't have a lot of control over that. They can kind of hear us out and listen to us, but that's not really going to change a whole lot. And I'm not going to say awards are pointless. They're not. They kind of show like you really worked hard to make this movie a really good movie, whereas some other people just don't work hard to make these movies good movies. But I also feel like awards can really skip over people with a lot of talent, and again, I think the perspective on the Oscars should be changed. That's just the way I see it and look at it. And do I see any big change coming soon? Not really. It's just such an old system.
They're not really hell-bent on changing it. It's gonna be a slow burn. Overall, I do want to say, do I think Joker deserves to be under those 11 nomination categories? Technically, yes. Does it deserve all of the awards? I don't believe so. Do I think it can potentially win some of those awards? Yes. But having 11 nominations doesn't really say anything about whether or not it's going to win. It was just up for 11 Academy Awards. It didn't win 11 Academy Awards. It might only win like 2 or 3 at most, whereas other films might win like 3 or 4, but they're only in those 3 or 4 categories. But that's just kind of my personal like placement on the whole thing. Again, I don't want to dive terribly deep into the whole thing. You know, the whole thing, it can be upsetting. We have to realize, though, that critics are critics. Even if we think they're wrong, it's just their general thought on the whole thing. And for me, I know I need to improve on what I say and how I say it in terms of just criticizing film and TV. If someone doesn't like it, they don't like it. I'll get over it. If they do like it and I don't, it's whatever. That's just your opinion on the whole thing. I'll still share my opinions on things, but I'm not going to use the same wording as I initially was. But that was just kind of my little talk for the day. I'll try to post something tomorrow, but, you know, just leave a comment, leave a like on the video, just kind of talk and discuss, you know, the movies. I'll post a review for Joker, hopefully in the next couple weeks. I'm going to wait for everything to just kind of cool off a little bit. I do plan on seeing some of these other movies. Hopefully they'll get released on like digital and I can rent them real quick and watch them before the Oscars come out. However, that is definitely easier said than done. So, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. You know, try to watch the Oscars if you can. If you don't want to watch them, don't watch them. It's not a big deal. I haven't watched them for the past couple years. I've mainly just watched highlights. But yeah, that's the video for the day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video tomorrow.